really, Cass should have been battering them at half-time.
Yeah.
They never should have let them back into it. The try for Leeds in the first half was off an error. It should have been 3 tries up at half time probably, and then in the second half they were even more wasteful with the ball. And really, if Leeds had more about them, because Cass just kept inviting them into good field position. But Leeds' challenges at playmaker, they showed up, and that's not a negative on the young kid's infield, because you can't expect him to be running the show in a game like this. He was meant to be just a foil to Austin to an extent. Sutcliffe at fullback as well hurts them a little bit. But losing Austin early, combined with the players already out, Myler, Caesar, it just means it's, the centre, Newman, Fuzzatua, it's just problematic for them. And it's just a all-round shitty attacking situation for Leeds that they just can't get their way out of, no matter how much how much attacking opportunity they got in this game in the second half.
Yeah, and I think, their the first try, came off such a blatant error by Memo, didn't it? That you sort of think, but that's how they're having to score their points.
Definitely. And the other Leeds hurt themselves a lot with their weak attack. That hurt them in this game, prevented them from winning this game. But the other thing that prevented them from winning this game was James Bentley not being able to stop himself from being James Bentley. Because
I just don't know, why did they think it was a good idea to sign him?
Well, I think they signed him before he came back from his injury last year, and that was when he really turned into a player who'd lost his head. I don't know if it's maybe he was so frustrated that he's not quite playing the same level that he was playing at before his injury yet, that he's trying to make his mark on games in other ways. But it's just...
Somebody needs to sit him down and say, you're an idiot, that's not how to make your mark.
And I just think that would happen if they had better leadership in place at least. Obviously, by the time people will be listening to it, they might have announced a new coach. They certainly... It sounds like expect to be announcing their new coach before the weekend's games, and it's got all the talk is now that it's going to be a coach from down under. So we'll see.
Pattinson's got to justify his trip somehow, hasn't he?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So we'll see if it's Ryan Carr or there's been a couple of other people mentioned this week, and in fact the latest name to kind of get strongly linked is John Cartwright, the former Titans coach. So we'll see there. But one thing for Cass, I did feel like, although they were definitely the better team in the first half, Truman was a bit absent, and McShane was good, but Truman was a bit absent. But he did come up with a really big play just at the big time in the game, just before they'd wasted all of Bentley's sin-bin period by dropping the ball. They managed to keep hold of the play. I'm not fully convinced that the offload to Watts wasn't forward, but great support play by Watts to power through and finish it off. And Watts was really good in the game as well, I thought, for Cass. Westerman and Watts are playing pretty well for them this year in what is an up and down Cass side. But at the end of the game, the difference in the two sides on the scoreboard was the 2 points kicked for that penalty in front of the sticks where Bentley got sin-bin for.
Yeah. Yeah. And in tight matches, you can't you can't give away penalties in any position, but much less straight in front of the sticks.
Yeah, especially when you're struggling to score points and then you give a side an 8-point lead, gift a side an 8-point lead like that. How good was McShane's kick, by the way, for Olfert's try in the first half? That was a very good bit of play.
I didn't realise it was McShane's kick. It was a very good kick. I just hadn't realised it was McShane actually that had kicked it.
No, we're used to him having a decent kicking game close to the line, but normally it's just those little dribbly ones behind the ruck, isn't it? This was outside of the boot, full width of the pitch pretty much. What a kick it was.
Yeah, it was very good.
Joe Westerman got a grade A dangerous contact crusher charge in this one. No match penalty notice for him. So he did it even better or less well, whichever way you want to look at it, than Conrad Hurrell did, and certainly than Sam Powell did. We talked about Bentley's charge. Another piece of news, he was on the bench. He didn't get used in this game, but maybe it convinced him to sign his new deal, because teenager Jason Gary has signed a new 2-year contract extension with Cass after lots of his agent trying to make people think Leeds might be interested in him. He's signed a new deal at Cass.
Yep.
You'll remember him.
Yeah, scored a try and then was a bit rubbish for the rest of the match when we beat them.
I mean, he was 16 on debut and scored his first touch. It was quite a story at the time, I remember.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Sort of, because he did score with his first touch.
But he hasn't had huge amounts of opportunities since then, so it'll be interesting to see now if he's got this new deal. Will they start picking him?
And especially with having a new deal that's been given to him with Radford.
Yeah.
So you can't say, oh, well, he's just not, he's not getting the games because it's a new coach, but the fact that he's been given this new contract under the new coach.
No, exactly, yeah. I'm a little bit surprised he didn't play, and I know James Clare, very experienced, big game, what have you, but Eden's in the side with his great pace, his great try scoring record, but he can't play 2 games close together because he still hasn't quite got over some hamstring and calf issues.
Yeah.
That apparently limit his training quite a bit, so that explains why he's been taken off at half time a couple of times as well this year, doesn't it? But Gary's got that kind of pace on the edge that surely I don't think James Clare's got.
No, but Radford's not a fan of pace in wingers.
No.
He likes them to move like prop forwards.
He does like the heavier set winger, doesn't he?
Yeah, which is surprising why that Gary's got a new contract unless he's preparing to feed him up.
To bulk up, yeah. Okay, moving on to the game at Huddersfield. It was Huddersfield 12, St Helens 24. 8-8 at half-time, though. 6,519 there, which I think is a decent crowd for Huddersfield. Tom Grant was the referee. In terms of... I don't think you've got any stats on this one, have you?
I've got nothing.
Right. Huddersfield had the better average gain and tackle success and a better tackle success rate too than St Helens, and managed the best yet metres total against Saints this year with 12,058. However, Saints still made more metres and more breaks than their hosts, and without a 12-6 error count against Saints, it might have actually been a higher margin of defeat. A couple of players backing up with a second stats roundup appearance individually for St Helens this weekend, actually. Mark Percival, 1 try, 5 tackle busts and 129 metres. Connie Hurrell, 6 tackle busts and 121 metres before his rest again. Johnny Lomax, 1 try assist and 111 metres. And Joey Lussick, 45 tackles, 11 of which were marker tackles. Ash Golding coming in on the wing for Huddersfield with a try, 142 metres and 2 clean breaks. Tui Lola here with a try, 7 tackles and 144 metres. I think most of those came on his breakaway try. Luke Yates, 42 tackles, 13 of which were marker tackles, and Joe Greenwood, 41 tackles, 13 of which were marker tackles. Have you got the fan views?
I have. So we start with at Mike Webb 58. A demonstration of why 2 games in the Easter weekend is stupid. 2 tired sets of players and a match that looked just as knackered. However, Saints up the tempo second half, and wins against second and third cannot be sniffed at. Gutted for Lewis Dodd. Hope the recovery goes well, but going forward in Wolf we trust.
Yeah, when you throw into that they beat Catalans in the Cup the week before, they've basically beaten all the teams in the top 4 without too much stress in the last fortnight, which just shows that they are the best side. Mark W said, with 10 of our best 17 missing and some key players like Levi and Yates playing big minutes through injury, that was an outstanding effort. Saints' last 3 tries came from errors in our own half, but otherwise it was a really entertaining game and a much more close one than the score suggests. I'd love to see these 2 sides face off with fewer bodies missing.
So David says, typical Easter Monday fare, both sides low on players and energy. Saints playing with 1 half-back and 2 hookers didn't help. Ground out the win, nevertheless, onwards to the jungle.
I think what Mark says is kind of almost similar to what Mark said when they played Wigan as well, isn't it? Kind of they're playing against the teams above them without the full complement, and so let's see if because if Huddersfield are a contender this year, we can't really judge it yet, can we? Because of the circumstances that they played some of the other top teams in. But I think we'll find out because they have been impressive. Even with Roby in the halves instead of Dodd on the highlights, at least Saints' threat appeared to be mostly down their left, and I'd give Percival a big nod of credit for that. He looked powerful again in this game. Although they did go to that side where they conceded a try, didn't they? Because Lola Here's try, Cudjoe got in between the Saints' pass, batted it backwards. Lola Here picked it up and ran the distance, which was a nice try. But the reason why I wanted to pull it out for more than any other reason, Sarah, was even Ignatius Parsley looked like he got closer to Lola Here than Jake Connor did last week.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, talking to fucking idiots who can't get through a match without getting a ban. Curtis Sirenen, grade B, late hit on passer, 2-match penalty notice. This was his first game back from a ban.
Well, yeah, play one, sit one out.
I think that's his 4th charge already this season. It's just insane.
Yeah.
And again, we talked about it, a position where they've got injuries. I mean, Morgan Knowles is now going to be out for... He missed this game. He'll miss the next game too because of the 11-day sit-down protocols for his HIA. That's unfortunate, but what compounds it then is when you've got someone comes on and gets another ban.
Yeah.
It's a shame, but well done to Saints going and doing a professional performance against a solid outfit to maintain their strong start to the season. Sulfur versus Catalans, next one to talk about. It was 18-6 to the Dragons at half-time and finished 36-10, so it looks like a routine win there. 3,221 is what we've been told the crowd was, thanks to the Sulfur fans who gave us a heads up on that, because Sulfur hadn't reported it anywhere. James Child was the referee. Have you got any stats on this one?
I have.
Cool.
So for Catalans, Joe Chan with 1 try assist, 5 tackle busts, 136 metres and 2 clean breaks. Tom Davies with 1 try, 135 metres, and Ben Garcia with 111 metres. For Salford, Ryan Briley again makes it into the stats with 2 try assists and 100 metres, and Ken Sear with 1 try and 112 metres.
Yeah, the obligatory Braley kick to the corner for CO to score was slightly different in this game, so we'll get to that. But in terms of team stats, 7 breaks to none and 320 more metres will tell you that Catalans were the better side, ball in hand, despite also making an extra error. Salford, though, fell short of 1,000 metres. Equal most penalties in a game this year, 18, 9 each, equaling Catalans' last game.
I was going to say, Catalans are enjoying that as a penalty lineup.
Yeah. Do you want to take us through the fan view we got on this one?
Yeah, so Alan Moore got in touch and said Salford were clearly more tired from their rivals game than we were. Morg made the difference thanks to stupid coach Steve's having the bright idea of playing number 1 at fullback or no one at fullback. Number 1 at fullback. Who'd have thunk it? It is I started the route and Big Sam finished it off with Elsdrax not getting out of first gear, really. Just as well, these Easter games cannot stay on the fixture list. Bad for quality.
Yeah. Although, from what I've read, it seems like there was some quality from Arthur Morg. Alan pulls him out as well. I wonder if he was just not fit enough last week to be back in the starting lineup, but he got some game time in that game against Toulouse. Why risk him too much when you're going to need him for a month with Tompkins out for a bit?
Yeah.
His pass for Laguerre's try was awesome, a bullet pass right on the money. So hard to defend a pass that perfect. And then his footwork and skill for the Pierce try. That's what we've really come to know Morg by, isn't it? This getting sort of away from defenders and through the line with just no space, and then he found a good offload as well. So yeah, it's good to see him back because he was one of the most enjoyable players to watch